Are you sick and tired of just boring English lessons? Well, I am going to teach you some very, very fun expressions, more or less. What's up, everyone? My name's Wes. This is Interactive English, which is where you want to be to practice and improve your English skills. In today's lesson, I am going to teach you about binomial pairs. Now, you might be thinking, what the heck are binomial pairs? And that is a great question. A binomial pair is an expression with two words that's combined with a conjunction. And most of the time, the conjunction that combines these words is either the word and or the word or. And or. And these are expressions that you will often hear just in everyday English, everyday conversation. We like to throw out these expressions, especially when speaking, because they're a great way to express how we feel and really give that extra little bit of information that can really capture a situation. So as we go through these expressions, these binomials, I'll give you the meaning and I'll throw in some video clips so that you can see how these expressions are used in context. So let's begin. The first binomial that I have for you is pros and cons. And when we use pros and cons, we're talking about a situation, and the pros would be the advantages and the cons are just the disadvantages. A lot of times when people are trying to make a decision and decide what to do, they might make a list, or they might just think about, well, what are the pros and cons? What are the good things? What are the bad things? And that can help us make a decision. Pros and cons.
I think there are pros and cons to every candidate.
Let's look at the pros and cons.
Pro, we could fill in the pit and build a park.
Con, we might be filling it in with dirty money.
It has its pros and cons. Yeah, I know. This would be good, but it would be the same. Go someplace else, it would be different, but it might not be as good.
So for example, what are the pros and cons of watching interactive English? Well, the pros would be that you're just learning so much about the English language. You're getting to practice and improve your skills. And the cons, there are no cons. The next one is sick and tired. You're sick and tired of something or some situation. And if you're sick and tired of something, it means that you are really annoyed and you've kind of hit your breaking point to where you are about to get really angry. You're about to lose your patience. You're talking about a bad situation, something that you don't like because it's something that you find annoying. You are sick and tired of something. Like at the beginning, I asked you if you were sick and tired of watching boring English lessons, which is not what we do here. Not boring.
I'm sick and tired of having nobody.
I'm sick and tired of talking about
yo-yos.
I was sick and tired of everything.
So some examples with sick and tired, people might be like, I'm sick and tired of the rain, or I'm sick and tired of having to stay late after work, or I'm sick and tired of eating the same thing all the time. You just get tired and fed up with something. You're sick and tired of it. Another great binomial, give or take. This just means approximately. So if you're talking to somebody and you give them a number, you say a number, but it's not exact. It may be more, it may be less. You could just say the number and then give or take. For example, if somebody asks well, what's the distance from here to there? And you might say, well, it's 100 kilometers, give or take. That's just an estimate. You're not exactly sure, but it's somewhere around there, give or take. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less. But it's approximately that distance, give or take.
2 weeks, give or take.
8 days, 11 hours, give or take.
In which case, $49, give or take.
How many people live here? A million, give or take.
You're up like 38 pence, give or take.
Then we have short and sweet. And this just means that something is done very quickly, right to the point. You don't waste any time. It's short and sweet. For example, maybe you're going to give a presentation at work and you just say the information, you get right to the point, you don't waste any time, and it's short and sweet.
When they interrogate us, which they like to do, all your answers short and sweet.
Okay, guys, let's keep it short and sweet today. Anybody got anything new?
Okay, thank you, Butters. Very nice, short and sweet.
So if something is to the point, it's direct, doesn't waste time, it's short and sweet. For example, like, I am not making this explanation short and sweet. I'm kind of dragging this out, and now I'm talking slower. It's not short and sweet, even though you're probably ready to move on to the next one. So we'll just move on to the next one. Then we have, and this is a good one, odds and ends. And if you say odds and ends, then you're talking about something that is unimportant, something that might be inexpensive. Often the way I would use it when people ask like, oh, what are you doing today? And I'd be like, well, I have some odds and ends to tie up around the house. I have some things that I have to do. They're not super important, but I should still do them. These are just some odds and ends that I have to take care of. We all have odds and ends that we have to do. It's just part of life.
Just tying up a few odds and ends?
Well, I know you have things to do.
What do you mean?
Packing, last-minute odds and ends.
What did you do back then?
Well, odds and ends.
The next binomial, and it's another great one, hustle and bustle. And this just means to work very hard, to be very active, and to do something with a lot of effort and a lot of energy. You are hustling and bustling. Oftentimes, I think you hear it in the continuous tense if you're describing a person and say, you know, he or she has really been hustling and bustling lately. They've been really working hard and getting a lot done. Hustle and bustle.
I've never seen this. I hear there's so much hustle and bustle.
Ask me, Reverend, how can you live in such a small town, so far away from the hustle and bustle of the 20th century?
Do you like to hustle and bustle? Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I get sick and tired of hustling and bustling. The next expression, and this is a really common one, back and forth. And it just means moving in one direction and then moving back in the other. You're moving back and forth. Back and forth. And we often use this to describe some situation that we see or something that's happening that is actually moving from one direction to another. It's moving back and forth.
A mother held her new baby and very slowly rocked him back and forth, back and forth.
I hung onto that sucker and I swung back, forth, and back, forth, back, forth.
You can also use it in other contexts, like such as people having a back and forth exchange. They're having a conversation, they're having a discussion, and it's back and forth.
And we started texting back and forth.
The next binomial is by and large. And this is just an expression that means the same thing as saying in general. It would just replace those two words. By and large, overall is another way of saying it. You'd often find it maybe at the beginning of a sentence because you could say, by and large, this neighborhood, it's a really safe area, by and large, in general.
Yeah, by and large, they are still made of steel and plastic, and that consumes a huge amount of energy.
It was, by and large, a pleasant assignment, except for one thing.
By and large, there are many great channels to learn English, but again, nobody has the hustle and bustle like Interactive English. We keep our lessons short and sweet. There are many pros and very few cons about learning with us. And you see, I just like to keep using them again so that you can try to remember. Another great binomial, more or less. It just means approximately, mostly, almost, more or less. More or less is a little bit similar to give or take. The only thing is, I think give or take is often used with a quantity. It's often used with a number. Whereas more or less, you would hear it often with things that are a little more abstract. So if somebody said, oh, did you have fun at the party? You're like, yeah, I had fun, more or less. Or maybe, oh, was he telling the truth? And like, yeah, he told the truth, more or less.
Find what you were looking for, Logan?
More or less.
Dad! Are we hit? More or less.
A boys' home, like a reform school.
Yeah, more or less.
And I can sound like I'm speaking Italian, so it's more or less the same thing.
Then we have loud and clear. This is talking about something that is easy to understand, easy to follow, kind of confirming that yes, you understand. You understand the directions, loud and clear. You understand the instructions, loud and clear. And it can even be an answer if somebody just asks you, like, do you understand? You say loud and clear. That's just a simple response. Yes, I understand exactly what you're telling me, loud and clear.
Do you read me? Vice President Jetson. Loud and clear, sir. Loud and clear.
You guys said that prison was better than this place. And I heard you, loud and clear.
This isn't over yet, Buster. Do you read me?
Loud and clear, Mr. Peterson.
I hope you learned some new expressions because, again, binomials, they're just fun to learn. We use them often when we're speaking informally. So if you understood all of these binomials, let me know in the comments. I just want you to write loud and clear. Did you understand this lesson? If you did, loud and clear. That way I know, I'll be like, okay, this person gets it. So right now I gotta head out. I have some odds and ends to do before tomorrow. It's gonna be a very busy day tomorrow. I'm just gonna be hustling and bustling and making new lessons for you guys to make this channel the best, because by and large, I think it's the best place out there to learn English. And if you think so too, please hit that like button down below. As always, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.